And what's the story with the appliances? Because okay, so it sounds like they were reclaimed cabinets, so maybe the person didn't like reclaimed or whatever. And
No,
then
so the dude, the guy who bought the land, it was like 46 acres, private lake, a badass timber framed house, and the guy that lives near them in that area, I guess he's like a billionaire, and bought their land when it went up for sale and just tore down the house, just because he didn't want anybody near him.
jeez. I want that kind of money. I want that kind of money where you're like, yeah, that's the fuck you money where you're like, I don't want neighbors, so I'm gonna buy you out of that spot. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy your badass house and then just fucking burn it to the ground.
Dude, that's a flex that's nobody's seen. Now you have land, right? How many acres do you own?
So I have 5 acres, and then my father-in-law, both my in-laws, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, just moved they just built a house next door on 10 acres. So we kind of share
15 basically, right? And they kind of butt up to each other, right?
Yeah, we're right next door to each other.
Oh, dude, that's the way to do it. Because I've only seen your house in terms of like the outside layout. I think there's some drone footage or something like that when you guys were either paving the roads or something like that. And it looked like, first of all, you have a really long driveway, which is freaking awesome. But second of all, it looked like you're in kind of heavy forested area, right?
Yeah, and it's it's wooded everywhere. But the cool thing is that we've got some really awesome topography, like just to the land, a bunch of hills, and so we cut a bunch of trails in, and there's a lower area in the front that has like a little pond in it, and then in the back we've got our house is like on a hill, and there's like valleys and stuff like that. It's pretty neat for our area because we're mostly farmland around here. So,
and then how far does it take for you to get into town for like to get like Costco? Okay, and it's a small town, right?
Yeah, we got about 5,000 people or so.
Okay.
But then Ann Arbor is not too far from here. That's like 15 minutes away. That's like
and that's
Costco and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So that's a larger metropolitan area.
Yeah.
That sounds like you live in the dream, man. Because we've mentioned before in this podcast, like we're kind of in the process of trying to find like at least 3 acres of land, just enough to put a shop and some wiggle room. Ideally, maybe 5 would be nice. But it sounds like your layout is so much more ideal because number one, for me, it's like the mature trees is like a prime thing that I have to be surrounded by those, and you have them. And then also, the reality is if we find something around here, we're driving maybe like 40 minutes I mean, I'm sure you can drive maybe 5-10 miles to your local small town, like 5,000 people, but into a Costco or whatever, that's probably at least like a 40-minute drive or something like that.
Yeah, dude, we looked for land for like 2 years, and we were living with Jamie's parents at the time. And we were about to the point where we were just going to buy like a 5-acre parcel that some farmer had, sectioned off for his, of his farmland or whatever. And then this came up for sale by owner, and we just jumped on it because it's right, like the vicinity to town, and it has internet, which surprisingly, for some reason around here, it's hard to find property that have high-speed internet.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Did you guys, you and Jamie, go out quite a bit, like when you lived more in town? Like, did you guys end up going like go to the bars and restaurants like quite a bit, or were you guys always kind of homebodies?
No, so we used to live in Savannah, Georgia. And when we lived in Savannah, we used to spend a bunch of time in town. And then when we had kids and, I started working on the business and everything, we just didn't have time to do that stuff. So,
and the reason I asked is because I have this theory, like right now, I feel like we go out to eat quite often, and we go out and do like local stuff quite often. And my theory is that once we get to the point that we get that 3 to 5 acres of land, and we set it up, I have a feeling I'm going to become more of a homebody because it's so much of an effort to get out of there. And with that much wiggle room, you kind of make an area like that you really want to be in, right? You kind of, I mean, hell, you guys have an ice rink.
I know. So, and you're kind of in the early stages of the kid life. Kids get a little bit older and get a bunch of friends. Like they're gonna want to go somewhere, or you're gonna want to have people over. So that's kind of what it's turned into for us. Like we just this ends up being the spot for everybody to come hang out. So,
oh, that's cool, man. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. But this sounds like a perfect introduction. So for anybody who has not met Jamison Rantz from Rogue Engineer, Jamison, I'll try to jump in to give a little bit of a bio about you, but then you can just take away from there. So when I first met you about, 4 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago in Atlanta, I think, at about a Home Depot event, I think at that point you were about a year into content creating full time. I don't remember if you already had a YouTube channel or you were strictly blogging at that point. But I remember just because I remember like Brad reposted like congrats to Jamison for going full time, and then I kind of like looked you up and who you were. I was nobody even on the map at all, so I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know for an anime. I was a fanboy of all of you guys in the very beginning, and so I remember seeing you and Ben Ueda at a hotel lobby in Atlanta. I think it was a very first prospective event. And I looked at Irene. I was like, "That's Jamison from Rogue Engineer," and Ben. She was like, "Who?" I was like, I was always a fanboy of you guys. And so from my understanding, you have a background in aerocraft engineer. You're aerospace engineer, right?
Yeah. So I got my degree in aerospace engineering, and then went to work for Gulfstream for a little bit. I worked for them for about 7 years. And I was doing mechanical design for the flight test department. So basically any testing that needed to be done in order to certify the aircraft, I would design the equipment that it took to run that test as well as capture the results. Okay. So, stuff that we had to stick on the side of planes or testing equipment inside of the planes and whatnot. Okay. So I did that for 7 years. While I was doing that, the last couple of years, we started the website Rogue Engineer. I just got building furniture and stuff like that, and then the mechanical design background, brought me into making plans. And I figured rather than building stuff for people, it was like, what's that saying? You teach a man to fish, kind of deal. So I started posting the plans, and it took off. And then I was able to quit my job, which I hated. Like, it's interesting to talk about aerospace and planes and shit like that, but at the end of the day, once I realized that the cubicle walls were closing in on me, and that's where I was going to be at for the rest of my life, I knew I had to get out.
Yeah. How long? Oh yeah, I like that. I like that pun right there. That's good. How long were you doing your career job before you took the leap of full time?
7 years.
7 years. That's exactly the time that I spent as a respiratory therapist before I went full time.
Yeah.
Like 7 years on the dot, March to March.
I think mine was about that too.
That's hilarious. That I think so. How did Jamie feel about this? First of all, when you went full time, like going from like what sounds like a very prestigious position.
She knew I hated what I was doing.
Oh yeah.
It was just one of those, and it wasn't that I didn't hate the people, and it was just being locked in a cubicle, and the fact that I don't know. I come from a family of like my father and my grandparents always owned their own business kind of thing, and I just knew that I needed to spread my wings, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so the website was. Did you have a YouTube channel at that time when you went full time? Yeah.
Get into YouTube until I had a YouTube channel, but it wasn't active, and I post some little stuff there here and there just when I needed to have a video to describe something. But I would say that I really launched the YouTube channel probably a year or so after I went full time.
A year into it. What was that first year like for you going full time? Were you a nervous wreck? Because for the majority of the time that I've known you, you're always a very mellow, like like a low energy tone of voice, but I mean, you're always full of energy, but you're that low energy tone of voice, and you always strike me as a guy that like didn't worry about too many things. You almost seem like that guy that like your mantra is like it'll work itself out. Is that am I right about it or am I wrong about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if you just keep your head down and keep working at it, like it's gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, if you throw enough shit against the wall, something's got to stick, right?
That's the most truest thing you could ever say about all this stuff. Irene and I last podcast, we were talking about starting businesses in infancy and then the fears that come with it, and the risks and scaling things. And I think one thing we kind of landed on was like the idea of like, it doesn't matter if you get like one banger of a video or one banger of a blog post or whatever. It's like, you just keep moving. You just keep doing, you just keep throwing different shit on the wall and just kind of start getting a better finger on the pulse to see what's working, what's not. How's Jamie been part of? First of all, I'm curious. How's the quarantine? You guys also strike me as somebody who the quarantine didn't bother too much, right? Having like a beautiful house, beautiful land, and
No, the quarantine that was one of those things where the biggest issue for me with the quarantine was having the kids at home. And when it started back in March, I was just like, oh, okay, well, we're just gonna have an extended summer, and as long as I can get through this summer, we'll be good. The kids will be back in school, and then of course they don't go back to school, so they're here all the time, and you can't get rid of them.
No, and that's the worst. I don't know how people are. Like you guys like you and I, or people like you and I, we're very fortunate to be able to work from home. But the downside of it is like there's no escaping your kids when you're creating content, because they need help logging into their stuff. And your kids are a little bit older than mine. Mine are still, a year into learning how to use an iPad. Your kids can write code by now. But
Okay. I don't know about that.
but it's like that constant distraction of like stopping your own personal business to go help them with their stuff. Was that a lot of that?
Yeah, the struggle for me is like the kids. Don't get me wrong, I love my kids, and
Well, we got to say that for the record, right? All right. YouTube will get CPS involved.
however, it's like I need to once I get in the groove. Like you need to have a few hours like putting in work without being interrupted to really make some progress. But the problem is when these guys have trouble logging in or whatever. Luckily, I'm in my workshop, which is a detached building, and I have my office and everything out there. And for the most part, Jamie manages them throughout the day. But they get on break or something, and they come down here. So it's like, and then the two kids got different schedules. So one's on break, and then the other one's not, and then they vice versa. So it's like it feels like every 15 minutes somebody's coming down here to just say hi or check my math homework or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. There's nothing worse than like getting irritated with your kids when it's just like them doing it in good intention. When they're just like, "Hey, I just want to be with you right now," and you're like, What? So you have a videographer, right? And you've had a videographer for a while, right? And he's incredible.
Yeah. I'm good at. I like to be well-rounded, but at the same time, I don't want to stretch myself too thin, and I feel like I'm doing that right now. But in the same breath, this guy, it was one of those things when I took on video, it's like a whole nother thing, right? Like it's a whole nother job.
Yeah.
And we can only do so much. So it was one of those things where I knew that I needed to kind of hand it off, and it's been good for me. Like honestly, it couldn't have worked out any better because the guy he's a hustler, like, and he gets shit done. And that's what I needed. I needed somebody that I could count on and that I wouldn't have to like just stay on them and trying to keep them busy. So he honestly is a motivator for me because sometimes he'll get videos out before I'm getting my side of things out. And it's like, oh shit, we got to work on another project.
You're like, I don't even know what a thumbnail's going to look like. Give me a second. Do you have I'm always curious because I just recently hired my videographer, and he used to be my editor for a while, and then when I decided to say just again being stretched too thin to delegate some of these roles and have somebody do what they're good at, and I could work on what I'm good at. I had to come up with a schedule of productivity, right? Where like I have computer time in the morning. I have my computer time in the morning. I work out a little bit, drive my kids to school, and then pick up my supplies. Then boom, he shows up. We record for X amount of hours from 10 to whatever, from 10 to 3. That's like our thing. And then after that, I just clean up and then go pick up my kids and then, do the family stuff. Do you have a similar, or do you guys have a tight, like rigid schedule or?
It's kind of been all over. When we were building the house, it was like from, we showed up at 7 o'clock in the morning and we were here until 5 o'clock at night until everybody knocked off. But now that we're done with that and we're kind of in our workshop and whatnot, we also had another little curveball. We were kind of on a little bit of a schedule, but then my videographer actually moved to Florida for the majority of the time. So he doesn't live locally anymore. Mm-hmm. However, he comes up here, so he'll fly in for like a week or two. His folks are still here, so he'll fly in and stay with them for like a week or two, and we'll batch out content. So we'll try and have like a few projects lined up or one big project kind of thing and knock it out. And it's worked out pretty well because we can, knock a bunch of work out and then he can go edit, and I can start producing content like for the blog and photography.
Yeah. And let me know if I'm out of place for asking this question. How is the blog world right now? The last person that I know that was really high up there, they said it almost seems like it's kind of plateauing a little bit. What are your thoughts on that versus video right now?
Honestly, dude, I hate saying this because I feel bad because I know a lot of people are suffering right now, but sure. This year our traffic has like doubled.
Right. Okay. Wow. Which rightfully so, right? People are home, right? They're consuming content from every aspect.
People want to learn how to do stuff themselves. So it's done really, really well lately. I mean, we were always slightly growing here and there. We hit like a little bit of a plateau, but I feel like we blew through it this year.
Wow.
And
that's incredible.
I'm pretty excited about it. So
yeah, there's this part of us, right, that, well, I think anybody who the pandemic didn't really affect them would probably say like, yes, there's a lot of people that were really hurt and destroyed by it, and then there's, it didn't really bother us, and we're fortunate to be in the businesses that we're in. But at the same time, like if you think about it, I remember, and I'm not gonna say their name, but like one of our like friends, they were going to put out this YouTube video, and they were gonna put this video out right in the very beginning stages of the pandemic, right? And this person, like, they almost like they did this Instagram thing about like trying to justify themselves with their audience about putting this content out, and they're like, hey, is it inappropriate for me to put this out right now, or like do a poll, like heck yeah, put it out, or no, not the right time. And that person really kind of felt bad. They're like kind of thinking like, am I taking advantage of the traffic during this time, the people? But then I told them, I was like, the people are at home. Like, so based off the comments that I'm putting or reading, which I don't read them anymore, but when I used to read them, people would say like, "Thank God another video came out. It gives me something to watch." Right. So it's like, it almost feels like you're giving people some form of escapism and or knowledge, right? Where you're showing them, since they're at home. Like I heard, like the supplies at the lumber stores and Home Depots and Lowe's and all these stores out there, like they can't keep stuff on their shelves because people are just like, I mean, those stores are full of customers who are like, all right, I guess we're going to do some stuff at the house. And so in a way, we're putting out free content that's giving people a form of like escapism,
Yeah. And apparently everybody, the first thing they wanted to do on this quarantine was build a deck, because all the pressure treated lumber and decking was just nowhere to be found.
Did you notice, based off of your analytics, was there certain types of projects, like the deck you said, right? Were there certain types of projects that you saw people are going more towards during this quarantine? Because it happened, in a mixture of seasons, right? There was both spring, summer, and winter.
No, I wouldn't say that there was any particular like theme to it. I think it was pretty widespread. Yeah.
Widespread. That's crazy. Did you see the same with your YouTube traffic as well, or just blog?
YouTube kind of, I mean, we had a couple of videos that popped off and did pretty well, awesome. and grew the channel. And
awesome.
I need to give more attention to YouTube. I don't know.
Are you not as excited about it, or is it just it takes a smaller village?
I am. It's just one of those things where it's I don't know. I back when I was just going full time and before I went full time, it was so easy to churn content out because
Mm,
you only had like one or two things, and now
mm.
it's like so many different things. And,
Like you mean like platforms? Is that what you mean?
yeah, different
Yeah,
platforms and
yeah.
different and it's not like you know at first there was no video,
Hmm.
right? So everything that I did was just blog post and some Facebook posts and whatnot. Then there was Instagram. So now you've got to do some other stuff. And then there's YouTube and you got to keep up with the times and you got to produce a YouTube video. Well, now you've got to, re-edit that for Facebook and you got to do a
Hmm.
different edit for Instagram. And it's like, I don't know. It's sometimes it gets overwhelming. And
Yeah.
now now it's like one of those things where with everything, everybody's at home all the time. It's just hard to get
Yeah.
everything done.
Oh
But
yeah.
then I look at you and it's like, dude, what's going on here? What am I?
Dude, I don't know. I don't attribute anything. I share the same hard work that I think everybody else is sharing. I don't consider myself to be as smart as some of the people that we share friends in our space that they set time aside to actually strategize the content that's searchable and what's not searchable. I'm like you. I create things that I could use or need or want to do, and then if it worked, it worked. And dude, I was put into just pure luck. The fact that I remembered like 10 months ago, that's where I guess my life really kind of changed. Is it was just like one video set fire to like 6 videos in a row, and in a course of 90 days, my channel like quadrupled. And so it's like
I think it's quadrupled.
in Russian it's quadrupled. It's a combination of rippling and drupling and quad. Yeah. It's a little Latin abbreviation in there too. I don't know how long I could pull the foreigner card. I just any chance I can, I just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, quadrupled, as you like to say, as we say in the States. In that short period of time, and I honestly don't think I could ever recreate it. I don't really, I'll get DMs of people asking me what they should do with their YouTube stuff, and my DMs back to them is always the same. It's me saying, "Hey man, it took me 70 videos to figure out what worked, and even then, I just kind of got lucky. Really, I mean, I just
No, you got to come up with some crazy ass algorithm.
Yeah.
Like, no, you have to make
Yeah.
this video has to be exactly 8 minutes and 57 seconds long.
I'll start fucking. I'll fuck with people and be like, okay, here's your problem. Where are you releasing them? Well, most on Fridays. Well, that's your problem, man. You got to do it on Wednesdays. You got to go odd days. You got to do odd numbers. You never post on a full moon, right? Rookie mistake number one, okay? Follow the Bitcoin. See what the coin is doing. If the Bitcoin's up, you post a video.
You put one white pixel up in the top right hand corner of your thumbnail, and it's gonna set it off. I promise.
Yeah, trust me. Also, thumbnails ain't shit. Don't even give it the attention. Sometimes just extract the scene from a video and just let that be it. And then I should charge them like $250 for be like you can PayPal me for my consultation.
Yeah, so you figured it out. I've got this $250 ebook that's gonna solve all your problems.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a lot of Gary V stuff in there about all work and no rest. It drive you into a heart attack. Just keep moving. Gary V, dude. I stopped listening to Gary V. I don't know about you. He used to be my guy in the very beginning stages, but then I started realizing how much he started twisting his and turning his tone, and then I was like, oh, you're just trying to play a narrative at a time, just getting people at first in the beginning stages from the book Crushing It and all that stuff. It's all about, you don't need your friends. You don't need to hang out with people. You don't need to do shit. You need to just work. You barely need any sleep. You're one video away. And I was like, yeah, that's right. One video away. Let's bust out videos. And then my blood pressure.
And I get that. Like there is you do need, it does require a lot of work to get
Yes.
to like actually get something off the ground, but at the same time, you can't sustain that. Like there's,
No.
you have to rest. Like everything, whether it's on a macro or micro scale, it all requires some form of rest and downturn.
Yes.
And I don't know. I feel like I'm at that resting stage right now.
Yeah, let me check my blood pressure. It's like below 120. Heart rate's like 46. I no, you're
I feel like I've got my workshop now. We've got our house, um, and I know those are both, our kids are all healthy. We got good families next door. So, I mean, we're in a good spot, and now I'd like to just enjoy it
yeah.
rather than just hustle, hustle, hustle all the time.
Isn't that the biggest fear? Like the biggest fear, which I mean, I'm pretty sure another part of the reason why you quit your day job to do this full time is the family dynamic, right? Think about like not seeing your kids and your family, and you have an awesome relationship with Jamie, your wife, and which I've met, and she's awesome, and you guys are always doing stuff with your kids, and that's freaking cool. I mean, for God's sake, you guys have an ice rink that you build in your backyard that all the kids are playing hockey. It's incredible, and so the fears that people like you and I share is that in of a blink of an eye, our kids are going to be older, and then that period of life is going to be gone. And no matter how good we do it, we're always going to regret not spending enough time with them. It's the old like "Cats in the Cradle" song, right? So it's like, that was my driving force to start a side hustle when I was still working full time at the hospital, where I was like, we had to work, first of all, 12 and a half hour shifts. Second of all, when we had days off, they would be like weird, like Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday kind of things. It would always alternate. And then you'd work every other weekend, both Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And, you leave, it's dark, you come home, it's dark. And then like I would get these text messages. And my kids were really little at that time. And my wife was like, hey, Jack just learned how to ride his bike with no training wheels on. And I was like, motherfucker, you know what I mean? Like all these things like, oh, Jack just went to, or Beckham just did this thing. And you're like, man, like they're only going to be that little for that long. And then after that, they're going to be in a different stage. And I'm sure it's going to be awesome, but that's the stage you met. Like, honestly, it's like every time I became a new dad, I just became a little bit better dad than the last time, because I stopped taking myself too seriously. I stopped saying no too often. I would say yes more often. And I swear this third time around, and obviously this is our last kid because I got snipped, the old snippety doodah.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah. Hey, vasectomy brothers, huh? Here you go. It's like with this girl, essentially, like I am prioritizing my life now around them. Like I'm scheduling life around them. I'm positioning health-wise, like mental health around them. That's the same reason why I wake up at 6 a.m. so I could work while they're still sleeping, so I could be done at 3 or 4 or whatever, so we can do stuff. So it's like I don't want to be on my deathbed and be like, man, I wish I can go back to those moments I was ice skating with my kid.
Yeah, the one thing that I have learned over the years is that you have to kind of divide life or your time up into buckets, right? And you want to, whether it's family or work or your own enjoyment, hobbies, whatever, you need to devote 100% of your attention to whatever you're doing at that moment in order to do it effectively. Because if you're trying to juggle business and family at the same time, like you can't be on your phone doing your social stuff and then also trying to listen to your wife or whatever, play with your kids. Like it just doesn't work, right?
Right.
We've all gotten in trouble for that. So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I've had to figure out over the years, and sometimes I've learned the hard way, but realize that that's what you got to do, man. You just got to be able to completely unplug and focus on family, or plug in and get to work.
Yeah. No, that's that's 100% true. And I definitely see it when YouTube finally started kicking off and it set fire to all these other videos, and the subscribership and the viewership went up. You're constantly chasing them. In fact, I remember you're the first person who ever gave me that advice. You and I were, God, which state were we in at that point? I think we were in maybe Tennessee. I think we're maybe in Tennessee. And we were talking about viral content, and none of my YouTube stuff. I mean, nothing happened for me on YouTube before that point. But I remember you were talking to me or sharing your experience or insight on YouTube, and you said what YouTube's looking for is a piece of viral content, and then you have to do it again like the next month, like follow up with another piece of viral content, or else you're just like one hit wonder, and then it's not going to care for you. And honest to God, I remember the video and the time and the week that my life started transforming. And that was January of last year, 10 months ago. The shower video that I did went nuclear. I mean, when I say nuclear, it was doing like 7,000 views an hour for a week straight, right? It was going nuclear. But then what ended up happening is it set fire to 5 other videos, like the secret door, the patching a drywall. It just set fire to those. And then that subscriber, and I just kept thinking what you said, is that I have to follow. I got to get another one. And so it was seriously a year or 10 solid months of just head down, and we're going to war on putting shit out right now. You know what I mean? Because what I'm seeing now, and Ben and I on a couple episodes ago, we were talking about it, how there's legitimately these momentum waves that happen in our space. And I don't know much about if it happens on blogging, because I never really monetized blogging. I kind of started doing because you just had to do it. That's like when I got into our space of become a content creator, I saw people like you and Bauer Power, everybody was making blogs. I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to be a blogger. You know what I mean? And I did blogs, and I never got paid a cent for them. And then I got into YouTube, and then life started changing. And so it was pedal to the metal. Yeah, we were just putting crap out there. We're seeing what worked and what didn't. Now that it's off the ground, I'm actually seeing this wave slowing things down, where I'm not growing at the same rate I was going at before. I'm still growing at a good rate that I'm happy with, but it's definitely not what it was. And Ben had an awesome idea or insight about what you should be doing when the wave is down, in terms of like redirecting your energy and whatnot. But it's now the way I'm kind of using this down, or kind of leveling out of the wave, is like figuring out, how do I scale this thing in the way where mentally I could be viable in this for a long time. Like, how do I get this mental health in point? Because it seemed like 10 months, it seemed like for 10 to 12 months, it was me just running a marathon a day. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah, and then you can't keep that up.
You cannot keep that up, And so now, like, kind of like you said, I'm like resting, or I'm savoring it, in whatever way you described it. Now I'm like, okay, so how about we designate or have somebody else deal with video and creating the video, and then how about I create a schedule where I can't work a minute past this hour, that way I could do stuff with the kids. And how about I do, then I learned I should eat the right stuff and work out. But again, stuff that mentally sustains you to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah. It's I'm in that I'm juggling right now, trying to figure out if I want to hire someone else to come in here full time and kind of take some of those tasks off my plate. But at the same time, it's like I start thinking about, man, if I hire somebody, then that means they're gonna have to, come in, and then I'm gonna have to work and talk to them. Yeah, and it's like, sometimes I don't want to. Like I want to go play with the kids or ride bikes or whatever.
Yeah.
And that gets weird when you got somebody else in the office and they're working. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna quit at noon and start drinking.
That's hilarious. No, that's 100% true. There's a sense of freedom. The drinking part at noon gets me into trouble, because you do that one too many times. Next thing you know, you're like, I'm not being productive at all. Like, I'm going to bed at 7:00 because I started drinking at noon. But to me, I this is a very fresh schedule for me, and so far I'm digging a lot. I start at 6. I do computer stuff. My camera guy comes in at 10, so we shoot content from 10 to 3. 3 is done. boom, it's closing time. And so I think it's still early enough in the day where I can go ride dirt bikes and,
You shoot content every day from 10 to
Monday through Friday, 10 to 3 every day. Every day. Except like today we didn't because we wrapped up the project yesterday. Like we shot the last scene yesterday. And then on Saturday, we're doing like the reveal. We're doing like a single mom surprise thing. And so I just had him go catch up on editing. And, then so we'll be back at it tomorrow. But then come Monday, we're going 10 to 3 again.
Speaking of that single mom surprise thing.
Yeah.
I noticed your table. We did the same thing. I just put out a coffee table with the whole pinned mortise or whatever you call it.
So I did a double one. It's called like a tuck something.
Tusk.
Yeah, tusk. Yeah, 55 or 5 degree angle.
You did. I didn't do any angles. I just stuck it in there.
You stuck the shit.
But it's with pine, it's a little bit harder to get that nice square hole, huh?
Oh, dude, the amount of chipping that happened was unreal.
It didn't work out as well as I thought. I mean, overall, it looks great. Like once it's all together, it's fine. But man, it's frustrating looking at that hole. Luckily, there's something in there that's gonna hide it.
Included. And with me, like I did it, and I haven't seen your table. I haven't looked at your table yet, but I'll have to look it up. It was super. I tried staying on that distressed farmhousey style. So like anything that chipped out, I just kind of sanded it down a little bit more to hide the abruption, and then just like distressed it a little bit. You know what I mean? So that style definitely hid a lot of the mistakes that would have been. I couldn't imagine. In fact, I had to mention like a scene in that video where I was like, okay, listen, I know I'm going to get a lot of shit about this from the fine woodworker guys. It's like, I'm not a fine worker guy by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just not afraid to try. And this is me trying, I
think I said in my blog post, this is about as far as it gets for me, guys. I'm not, this is fine woodworking to its fullest.
Yeah, seriously. I think a lot of our followers don't understand like the amount of screw ups that we go through, the reality, because everything comes. I mean, think about it like any kind of recipe you follow. You're like, what the freak? None of this makes sense, Like it didn't come out. My fluffy cake didn't come out like looking like yours, You're like, well, I've done this longer than you.
Yeah. I just put that coffee table out the other day, and then I saw your picture of the table, and I was like, "Oh man, look at that!"
Yeah. No, I swear, I would have given you the credit if I stole that, but I wanted a through tendon kind of thing.
Yeah, Jamie saw something on I don't know, one of those websites that she wanted. Yeah. But it turned out really good. Yeah, we ended up using like 2x10s or whatever, and just glued it top.
Did you do like the sides? Did you do like okay.
Kind of straight. Ours was more linear design, I guess you would say.
Oh, I invented the tusk mortise and tenon joint.
Oh, did you?
So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is yeah. So I mean, I'll let this one slide, but next time just be kind and tag me. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Isn't our space kind of interesting? I was with again, I'm not going to drop any names. I was with another content creator at one of our trips, and actually, well, everybody was a content creator there, and we're driving a car, and one said to the other, like, oh, hey, I saw you copied my dining room table or something like that. And this other content creator is like, wait, are you serious right now? And the other one's like, well, yeah, but it's fine. And he goes, dude, I never saw, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he saw it or not, but like, it's this weird thing where it's like, hey, there's this like, did you copy me? You know what I mean? Like, did you, it's such a strange place to be in. Cause like, I'll be honest, every part of my projects, it starts with Pinterest. Like it starts with Pinterest. I find 3 pictures and take something from each one and combine it into one, you know what I mean? And that's all the extent of my inspirations.
And the funniest thing is like when you come up with this grand idea and it's like, oh man, this is super original. I came up with this all on my own. I love the way it looks. And then all of a sudden, like a couple months later, you see the picture of where the thought actually originated from. And it's like, oh shit.
Oh, so what you're saying is like, oh, okay. So what you're saying is like you saw something somewhere and then, oh, gotcha.
In your subconscious, you know what I
mean? Yeah. Dude, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I wish I wish I could remember. I remember I definitely had that exact conversation with my mind where I was like, this. Oh, you know what it was? I have my sliding barn door. I'm looking at it in the master bathroom, and it had these kind of patterns, and I remember the style. Well, they're not chevron. They're just basically abstract angles. You know what I mean? And their continuation with little like one by ones going across it. I remember specifically one particular DIYer that did that same wood, that same style color. I don't know if they used the exact same one, but similar shade. But it was more like linear, right, and more and square. And I was like, oh, I wonder if we can do this with these abstract angles or abstract shapes. And then I did it, and I put it out, and the video did great. And then again, I went on Pinterest, and I was like, "Oh, that's where I saw this inspiration from." Like like it's never. I feel like it's so rare to come out with an original design. Like something had to come from somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
And how
It's weird. Some people get really upset about that, like not giving them credit. I remember I did, I think we were building a playhouse for my daughter, and I polled the audience on which color should we paint the playhouse. However, I hadn't built the playhouse yet, so I took a picture off of Pinterest and like put some different colors on it, and all this apparently that picture was from a blogger, which I didn't realize, and that blogger tracked me down and was like really upset about this in a
really?
group. Yeah, like really upset. Which looking back at it, I was pretty early on in my career. I photoshopped her picture and didn't give her any credit. And
Yeah.
however, I didn't know it was her. It was like one of those, it leads back to some website in China or whatever where
Do I know this blogger?
no, you don't.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
It wasn't Jen Woodhouse.
Never heard of her. That's yeah. No, you never know. You never know where this inspiration comes from. I personally don't. Well, first of all, I don't have too many things that I feel like anybody's really copying me or trying to do similar. I feel like I just don't even look for those things, right? Like, because I don't feel like a single thing that I've built is like a Greg Klassen river table. You know what I mean? Like, I never think anything is like my baby that I created and you did it. Everything came from somewhere with like I said, my strategy is always the same. I find 3 pictures with 3 different parts that I like of 3 different things, and I'll put it all together, right? And so, like the chevron bed, prime example. I saw multiple DIYers with chevron bed, but they always had like just a headboard. And I was like, well, what if I did a chevron footboard as well? But then I flipped it upside down, which I'm pretty sure somewhere out there has already done that as well.
Right.
Sure.
But like,
And then I was like, well, instead of having it lay on the floor, how about so there's always something. And I think, I don't know, I don't take myself too serious to be so married to these projects. To me, a project is only as important until the date that the video goes out. Once the video goes out, I'm done, man. That thing is nothing to me. I don't care
On to
about
the
it.
next one.
Yeah, I don't care about it one bit. It's not a brand new invention. It's not a Greg Klassen river table. It's not branded. It's nothing. It's just I'm done with this thing, and now my mind is mentally 100% consumed with what's the next thing I could start doing and building. That's all it is.
Honestly, that blogger that I was telling you about earlier, I actually had a discussion with them because they went on some Facebook group and were kind of like airing me out, and I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna reach out and just explain myself. Like, first off, I didn't know it was your picture. And maybe I didn't search very well. I probably should have done a reverse.
Now, correct me. So wait, refresh me again. So you used the paint color of. So you took a picture of her house.
Yeah. So she had a playhouse.
That was a certain color.
She had like restored.
Okay.
And we liked the playhouse, and we used that for inspiration to build our own. So she had one that was there and restored it, and it looked great. We liked it. We wanted to build one just like it and have it on the ground. And so I took that one and used it as like an inspirational photo, and then overlaid some colors on it. And at the end of the day, she got really upset about it and told a bunch of people, and it seemed like it was a little bit of a witch hunt. And I reached out to her and I wanted to explain myself. And I said, hey, I'll take it down. I'll give you credit, whatever you want to do. That's fine with me. But know this, like you cannot waste your energy on something like this. Like all that time you spent trying to, just badmouth me, and you're not getting anything done. Just continue to produce content. The people who are really trying to rip you off and are really like ill-willed about it, like they're not going to get anywhere.
They're selling wood pricks plants.
Yeah. Which they've changed their name now. It's like Wood Gut or something like that.
Something like that. I don't know about this, but I got the best plants on woodgutplants.com.
Anyway, but the moral of the story is like the cream always rises to the top. Like if you do the right thing and you do it well and you continue to do it, then eventually it's all going to work out.
The cream rises to the top. Yeah, that's the best ejaculation joke I've ever seen. A reference I've ever seen.
That's not the only one I've got.
No, that's 100% true. And just out of curiosity, was this blogger, were they at that time higher up than you in the...
Honestly, I don't even know. No, probably not.
Probably not.
Well, and not that I was high up at the time, but no, I don't think so.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, man. No, I think that's really well put. I think that's awesome the way you just kind of shared with them. And also, here's the thing. Why not just reach out to the person and be like, even if it's passive aggressive, why not go straight to the person and be like, hey, here's my thing. It looks like the exact same picture, either credit it or take it down. You know what I mean? That's like an average conversation approach, which it's fine the way to approach it. But to go behind the person's back and badmouth them and air it all out.
All you would have to do is send me an email and say, hey, I see you're using my picture. Do you mind giving me some credit?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just as little as that. It's easy as that. It's amazing that some more people don't do that. I think maybe too many people feel like it's a creation of theirs and that it's an original or it's I don't know. I just think there's even if it's the exact same picture of theirs that's even reposted. I mean, how much of our stuff gets reposted on other people's and they're selling plans on their own stuff, and we'll just write like, hey, take this down or give it proper credit. You know what I mean? Like,
you know how many times I've gotten emails from people and it's like, hey, so-and-so is using your photo over here, so-and-so is doing that. And it's like, honestly, if I worried about every single person that was using my photo or ripping off my watermark or whatever, so they, and it's like, come on, don't worry.
I had one video. So again, because I don't really do blog stuff, not too much of my stuff ends up on other people's stuff. Yes, I'll have some like the finished projects like on other people's feed as like a repost. That's fine. But I had this one time somebody send me a screenshot like, hey, this guy just reused one of your videos in his YouTube channel. And that's when I go, okay, I need to check this out because this is bull, right? Because they're monetizing and whatever. And so it's this guy
on YouTube?
On YouTube. So there's this guy. I only saw it through Facebook because he got reposted on Facebook. But it's this guy with like millions of subscribers, like 11 million or 5 million subscribers, Alonzo something, like a blue check mark verified kind of guy. But I think he's like a comedic, or he's got like a comedic act, or he's a comedian. But what he kind of does is this like these obnoxious like reactions to people's videos, and it's my staircase video. And so it's like the video is in the lower left hand corner, and the majority of the screen is him kind of being like charismatic, reacting about it. It was hilarious, I think, because he's like, "Oh my God, did he bring a welder inside the house? What?" It was really entertaining to watch. And yes, he got a lot of views from it, but his channel was big enough that every average video was a large amount. So it's not like I made him. I don't think I saw any crazy traffic because he didn't tag it too well. But I think it was done so in such an entertaining way that I couldn't even hate, right? Because I was like, listen, he's basically just watching my video. So it's not like he's just reposting it. It's his content. He's the entertainer, right? Even if it's at my, expense of making fun of my video. I was just like, I probably don't have room to get anything done about it, but B, I don't even want to do anything because I'm entertained by this.
I kind of want to watch it. Can you send me a link?
Yeah, I'll see if I could find it. It's Alonzo something, and I'll make sure to.
Did he at least give you a mention or well, obviously you're on there, but did he link to you?
You know what I think he did? I think what a lot of these accounts will do is like the easy way out. They'll put a watermark. They'll say "Mr. Build It"
Yeah.
a very opaque way in a corner. Stuff like that. The only time it really bothers me, which I don't think it really happened too many times, is actually the only times that it only bothers me is when the people will reuse my picture. They'll maybe even credit me, but they'll post it on their like social media that clearly they're selling something and they're using, our good content to get viewership, therefore make sales. And I think that's when it's not cool.
I do have that happen, and that was kind of what I was referring to earlier. I get emails fairly often that are just like, "Hey, so and so is using your picture here," and what sucks is that people will take the time to crop out your watermark.
Yeah.
And then use your picture as if it was their work. They're advertising, "Hey, I can build this piece of furniture for you."
Yeah.
And it's a picture of something that I clearly built. I mean, it's in my house. So
yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, as I don't know, it seems a little mischievous.
Yeah. I had a guy just recently, I just did a thing, which kind of like made me feel a little sick in my stomach. Somebody created a fake account on Facebook. Well, I don't know if you saw, I reposted my stories, but instead of having say Mr. Build It, they spelled Mr. out and then put a hyphen, or not a hyphen, apostrophe, Build It. So it's Mr. apostrophe Build It. And they reposted that page had my banner, which was the screen grabs of all of my stuff. My thumbnail was the main thumbnail. My family pictures were there. My like videos were basically a shitty replica. Scraped all my content and my likeness. That's the thing. Like my thumbnail is my thumbnail. You know what I mean? Like a two picture. My family, but they would write this broken English, obnoxious stuff where like, "Hello, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? Be sure to win $1,000 from me. This is not. This is 100% legitimate." You know what I mean? This is the longest run-on sentence. And I had people like emailing me, DMing me, and emailing me. They're like, "Hey, I've been following you for a while. Is this legit? Because this guy is sending me," and like I must have gotten maybe 10 emails in like a span of a week. And fortunately, I had a bunch of people report that as spam or a fake account, and looks like they got it closed. But I was like, I kind of got sick in my stomach, because it's one thing if you're taking my content but putting it on your branded kind of thing. But to say, "Hey, I'm a rogue engineer with 3 E's," you know what I mean? And it's like you and Jamie and the kids, that's a fake, you know what I mean? Like it feels like your identity was stolen. You're like, what the
Why do you think they do that? Do you think they're trying to, because you can't just like monetize instantly, right? Like what's the catch there? They're trying to send you
that asshole got 79,000 followers on Facebook.
No shit.
Yes. I mean, I have like 160, I think, thousand. Through that, he did it long enough to get that many from it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's where I think it really starts. And the thing is,
I mean, obviously, then he can monetize content.
Yeah, he can monetize. Yeah, at that point. Oh, well, there's. I mean, I think that one of the other rules is on monetizing on Facebook. One of the rules is the amount of followers you have, but the second one is you have had to had some previous branded sponsored content that through their marketing tool, whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You had to have like 30,000.
It's 30,000. I think you have to
1 minute views.
And then you've had to use the partnership link. You know what I mean? Like so if you worked with like Home Depot, you said branded partner with Home Depot and whatnot. Yeah. All right, James, man, we're almost at an hour here, man. Dude, this has been a blast. I mean, I think we could chat forever. We need a lot to catch up on too, so we'll definitely have you back on again.
For sure. When are we doing one of these other? I hate this, man. We gotta have a trip sometime.
Yeah. Well, how about you come out here?
I know. I'd love to. It's just everything's so weird right now.
Yeah, it's weird to wear a mask. I haven't flown anywhere, so I don't even want to try. I don't even like going to the store because everybody's weird. So the way go ahead.
My family just got a place down in Florida, and one of our upcoming projects is going to be building a dock.
Whoa, that's gonna be nuts.
Adding on to the dock that's there. So
that's incredible.
So we've been flying back and forth, is what I'm saying. Disclaimer. I know we're virtual here, but I might have COVID.
You might have COVID. Yeah. Well, you know me, bro. I'll sleep it off.
Yeah.
Tell people where they could find you, and where do you want to direct them to go check you out at?
So you can find me at rogueengineer.com. Obviously, all the other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, we have a presence just about everywhere.
Nice. And the way we like to finish all of our episodes is say your name and use an adjective to describe what kind of neighbor you are, right? So you would say, hi, my name is Jamison Rantz from Rogue Engineer, and I would be a, drunk neighbor or whatever. Day drunk neighbor.
The day drunk neighbor.
We'll use that as a soundbite to start out this episode.
Okay. All right. Hey guys, I'm Jamison from Rogue Engineer, and I would be the noisy neighbor.
All right, Jamison, man, thanks a lot. Make sure to go check out Jamison on all of his platforms. Thanks for listening, everybody. Jamison, I appreciate you, my man. See you, brother.
Later, man.
Bye.